I got quorum and I got 3 o'clock. Do you want to keep this off?
So by default, you want me to take over?
One last time?
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. First order here, I guess, is to approve the agenda.
I approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Agenda approved. Second is to approve the board minutes of May 23rd. Anybody had a chance to look them over or have any questions or chat?
I wasn't here at last meeting.
Me neither.
I'm going to assume that they are stated correctly.
Okay.
Good.
They were? First? Motion?
There's a motion to approve them.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Third point, approve invoices and financial statements.
These are as of today, right?
Correct.
Okay. How are we looking in terms of making it to year end?
We're gonna
We
make
got-
it.
We got 9 more days or so,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We're on the downhill slide, but
Because this is as of May 31st,
Correct.
right?
The bill for Dickinson Law says legal policies and procedures. Which policies and procedures?
Well, like
would that be
the
that?
billing and collecting
Okay.
that we approved last month and we
Okay.
need to address a little bit tonight.
Okay.
Some of that stuff they were working on.
We can both read for the online bill pay and the $30 limit past due. There were 2 things that we've been working on, right?
Right, the billing and collecting, last month. And then they're also doing an overview of all of our policies because it's been a long time since they were updated.
Okay.
But specifically, the billing and collection that was approved last month, and then the online, they've been working on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that stuff's been run through them.
Okay. In the Carbonado Road components, I remember a large portion of that project was due for next fiscal year. Are we okay to pay all this in this fiscal year?
we are.
Okay.
We'll be over on that line item, but we might use some in distribution, and there's some other line items that we're very under in. So.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
that
it's a
should-
pretty big chunk.
Yeah, so that should free up some expenses in next fiscal year that we were planning.
Yeah, we
We're gonna
still
pay
have
this year.
one, we still have a bill from the Highway 23 project that was a good chunk yet that will, so that's gonna kind of shift from this year to next year.
It's
where
hard to
these
do
are-
this June versus July for 2 fiscal years, so we'll pay now and free up money. Do we have the funds to pay it this year?
All right, this may be a stupid question, but what's a Factron?
It's our vacuum excavation unit.
Okay.
It's a trailer mounted, we bought 5, 6 years ago.
Okay, anybody got any more questions on bills or financial statements? Give you a chance to review them. Nope. All right, then, can I have a motion to approve bills totaling $319,297.64?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I guess equally, I need a motion then to approve the financial reports for the year and month ended May 31, 2016.
Motion to approve the financial statements as presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 4, customer forum. This is the item reserved to receive comments from the committee, customers with concerns whether or not they are included in the current agenda. Community is encouraged to come and speak before the Water Board of Trustees, asked to keep statements brief. Any questions are to be asked to the Water Department staff and Board of Trustee members prior to speaking to the full Board of Trustees, so concerns may be properly researched and answered away from the meeting. Comments are redirected to the Board of Trustees only.
I don't have any other comments that have been in this month, so we'll get nothing presented this time.
Okay. Then, number 5, discussion of wastewater operations.
There's some work that's been needed to happen over the last year plus, and it's finally started to take place on the digester cell number 1 dome of the southwest plant. Some of the issues that they thought they would find aren't as bad as initially thought, and others are worse. There's more equipment that does need to be replaced as a result of getting in and doing this inspection work. Talking with Akilish as far as additional work that may need to be done to that, and looking at the budget and when we can try and get some of that done to make sure that stays operational and in good condition. And some of the process of being out there and talking with staff, there's a very real concern and a need to have some sort of automation with regard to alarms and stuff that happen. As we were out there working on different facets of that digester, we actually were in the basement of that building, and an alarm went off to indicate an issue, and we went up to look at what was going on. And at that point, it was the contractors and myself, and staff was on site but not in the building, and went to talk to them about what was going on, to come in and reset a couple pumps. But at that point, I asked them if there was any notification process for these alarms, and they indicated that there wasn't any. And these particular pumps are the ones that keep the dome inflated over the digester. And as the city has recently spent roughly $500,000 on replacing that unit, I think we need to look at getting something in place that will notify staff in the event of an alarm. The alarm that existed within that digester is something that you couldn't hear outside if it was going off. There is an audible alarm and a flashing light, but by the design of that building, you wouldn't know it. So sit down with Mike, and that would have to be something that we'll plan out here to look at. We can talk about that in the facility plan too. But there are a lot of processes that way that we could use some sort of notification procedure on. Going through the issues that we've gone through the last couple months on water, and realizing that need, that this was one of the things we talked about was on the wastewater side, so, just the same thing there. Staff are working to complete the jetting and televising that have been requested by Garden for, some of the CIP work so that they can try and plan that stuff. There's been a lot of time invested trying to get that stuff completed. And then Kevin and I sat down a couple times and worked on that spreadsheet that I had attached, and I didn't print out other copies today, but went through and tied back kind of the two. Looked at, there were a couple things that were eliminated because they didn't pertain to either the city side or the water side. And then worked on adding some conditional formatting so that when the work had been completed, it changed the coloring on those cells to indicate.
Are you talking about the 2080 agreement or which spreadsheet?
Well, the spreadsheet that Mike had originally generated and then I attached. And so there's,
Yes.
Yep.
Those two.
Okay, the two were sent out together,
Yeah, there are two sheets.
the 2080 and then the division of responsibilities?
Yes.
Okay.
it was, so worked to incorporate so that there was one sheet that was essentially looked at and we weren't having to duplicate work. So as things are done and we're on the baseline sheet, checking things off, that it changes colors on that division of responsibilities and puts things back in there. So we kind of worked on making sure that this is something that works for the council, that and visually you guys can see what's going on. And we'll have to work to get staff to make sure that they're understanding where things stand too, so that they can be working on this stuff. And report back so that we can get that stuff, we can get that information to the council. Questions on that?
Okay. Number 6.
In your packets, last month we changed we updated billing and collections, and as we printed that out and went to put it in the book, looked at it and noticed that there was an error that needed to be modified. And so you will see that the current version that was just approved last month showed that in the third paragraph, 2.400, it talks about it, utility accounts with an unpaid balance after the due date will be assessed a penalty of 5%. An account with a balance that is more than $40 and that is not paid within 10 days of the date will be subject to discontinuance. Well, that number has always been, not always, most recently has been $30. And not sure where the $40 came from, in honesty. So noticing that needed to be addressed, we've got it here today, and I've got the proposed version. Everything's the same with the exception of $40 becomes $30, and that matches what we've done previously. So basically you get to the point where if you've got a bill that's less than $30, then we don't worry about going out and doing shut-offs on that. If it's over $30, then it will be shut off for non-payment. So it would be my recommendation to change that from the $40 to the $30 as proposed.
Okay. Any discussion or?
How often would somebody fall in the $40 cutoff and not the $30 cutoff in terms of shut-off?
It'll change now that we go to monthly billing.
Okay.
And it was, for several years, it has been $30
Okay.
to that. It just, I don't remember where $40 came from. 'Cause-
I want to say that it came from, that's the fee, if it's not paid by 5 o'clock the day
Oh,
before
that's-
shut-off, so
that's
I'm
our-
wondering if they
our
grabbed it.
assessment.
When they were rewriting that, they grabbed that $40 from, dollar amount from there, would be what,
Okay,
I'm just guessing. but-
okay.
But yeah, it'll change as we move to monthly billing. So,
Again,
That
account
amount.
balance is the total amount, doesn't just, it's not just water, it's.
no, it's
combined-
the amount of the bill,
combined.
yes, it's the, yeah,
Yeah.
it is the amount of the bill.
Yeah, it's, and people have learned to pay it down to $28, so. But,
But it saves them 40.
it's right.
Yeah.
So,
And it saves us a trip out.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the change?
I moved to change the limit from $40 to $30 for past history.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 7, Chad.
okay, I will not be here at the scheduled time for the July meeting yet. You guys, if you want to have the meeting, that's fine. I will do what I can to get everything ready to go for you ahead of time, but that's about the 2 weeks that I don't have children running across the country for one thing or another, and we're taking vacation. So, I wanted to have that discussion with you to see what you wanted to do. Did you want to move it up? Do you want to keep it where it is? And I'll have actionable items and stuff ready for you. That will also, that month, we'll have the first drawdown from the contractor for Carbonado Road. Will be, Garden will have processed that. And so that, we'll have that, it'll be one of the changes that we'll have on there as far as actionable items. But I guess I want to know, I would like some discussion from you to see where you're at. If you're comfortable having it while I'm not here, that's fine. If you'd rather have it while I'm here so that I can answer things, that's fine too. Just tell me when you would like to do it. And
What are the dates of your vacation?
I, not sure because a Friday is the 15th and that's the first day that we'll have bills due on a monthly basis. Depending on how that's going, I'm either in the office all day or I'm sticking around till noon and we're taking off, so. But I will be gone sometime on the 15th and I will be back 2 weeks later.
2 weeks, okay.
First of all.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah, is that Monday is August 1st?
Yeah, first or second, the
So-
very first week.
I will be out of town on the 18th as well. A short trip, so most likely, if we were to move it, we would move it up in time, 15th or earlier, right?
Right.
And
Joe doesn't
Joe
care.
doesn't care.
He does.
Any suggestions then, Joe, you want to throw?
15th. What the heck?
A week earlier? The 11th will work.
The 11th will work for me.
Is that gonna give you
Is
enough time?
is that too early?
It'll
or-
fine, I'll get it done.
Okay, all right.
Somebody might need to deliver me some, dinner tonight, but.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking at the 11th.
The second Monday instead of the third Monday
Okay.
of July.
Anybody else have any conflicts? Okay, so then I have essentially a motion
Yeah.
to move our July meeting to the 11th. Do we have a second? Second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next one, Brady.
Did June is typically the time where historically we've gone and done cost of living adjustments for staff. You'll see in that agenda packet the different organizations that I've contacted and what they are doing for increases for their staff. I know usually as we budget a 4% increase to give us a little bit of room. And based on what most others are doing, my recommendation to have the 3% increase this year. We're also, something that we've looked at doing for a couple of years is moving towards a merit-based system. We've talked about it, and Joe's got more knowledge about that, I guess, than the others, but we've talked about that for a while, and we've implemented some of those changes internally to where we've kind of got a baseline this year, and as we look at employee reviews in the upcoming year, and then applying those to those staff members as a result moving forward. So this would be the last year of a kind of a categorical increase. Everything else beyond this will be based on merit.
What does that look like? What are you basing that on?
Looking at some other departments and what they've done, having a pool of money that is, so if the cost of living this year is 3%, next year, let's say it's 3%, and that amounts to X number of dollars across the pay scale. And you would have some employees that, based on their reviews, didn't do as well as other higher performing employees. Their raises would be at a minimum rate down here, and then the ones that did better would receive a little bit more of a raise, but all of those things still need to fall back within that pool of money so that that's not exhausted.
So you're setting your budget with a gross amount of increase for wages?
Well,
And then
we
you're going to
budget-
draw from that?
We
Is that what
budget,
you do?
we budget a 4% increase anyway, and so
Understand.
then wherever that comes in, whether it's approved by the board, then those raises would be allocated to those employees. Whatever that dollar amount figures out to annually, we would look at applying those. If everybody did the same amount of work, then everybody's going to get the same raise, essentially. But that's not how it goes. I have employees that produce on a daily basis more than others. And they historically have gotten the same wage as everybody else. And so we're trying to reward the employees that do better in that amount, and not trying not to stifle that, I guess. I want to, the ones that are doing better should be rewarded as such.
So it sounds like you've given it some thought. Have you mocked this up to see what percent of employees would receive the merit increase versus the ones that wouldn't?
Based on the reviews, I'm thinking that what, no is my short answer. I guess in talking about what this should look like, there would be a baseline increase that is, 1%. And then there's going to be a maximum increase as well. And then just in between, where it's going to take some work on my part to figure out where all that stuff, everybody's going to slide in.
So based on your total percentage of increase for your budget, you're going to have everybody's review first.
Yes.
And make sure you stay within those guidelines. Is that what you're saying? You're going to have to do it that way? I mean, you have to
Yes.
stay within something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So the like I said, let's say 3%, and that equates to X number of dollars. I know that I can go back and figure out what I can give for raises based on the fact that I have X number of dollars available. So it's, it's just a matter of going back and applying that formula.
If you've got it seems like you've got something in your head, at least what it should look like. If you've got a plan in place on how to finalize that or to fine tune this process that can be communicated to staff.
We talked to staff already as we were going through reviews this year, that this would be the last year that things have been status quo, and they will be changing based on performance appraisals. And so that was clearly discussed with those employees.
Mike, have you been involved or seen anything similar to that? I mean, does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, Chad said there's some baseline, low level. So your standard employee makes, somebody who comes in, does the work that they're assigned, doesn't knock anybody's socks off, but they're an integral part to your team, they get the standard increase, and then anybody who excels above that. And then, of course, people who don't perform, they should also be put on performance improvement plans and booted out, or hopefully they improve.
Is there a rating scale, numerical values, or how is the performance going to be judged?
The city has just adopted, as of April 1st, performance evaluation standards, and I needed to use that for wastewater staff, and so I used that for water staff. Everything was nicely laid out, and that's what I've used. It's a very good format, and it laid things out. It explained it was on a 5-point scale. 0 through 2 was this, 3 was this, 4 and 5 were this. It kind of gave some different examples in each category as to what would earn that.
I just reviewed employees in that scale, and I consider a very good employee. They got a 3.29. So
I would assume it's very difficult to get a 4 or 5.
it can be, yeah, because it's some of the things like attendance. Is you either meet it or you don't. So you get a 3, you can't get a 4 or 5 in those. You just can't. So I like our system better now. We could do the same thing if we didn't have unions, I suppose, but it can be used for that.
The 3% increase that the city did, I mean, what was your basis for that? Is there some?
Contract negotiations with all 3 unions 3 years ago. We try to keep them all in line. The 3%, and you can just pass this around, this is what the city has done, and I've circled around what water has given historically. Water's always been at least a percentage higher than what the city gives, if not maybe 2 or 3% higher. Ours are based off of what the unions can negotiate, and we use comps for that. We have not historically changed medical, just because it's difficult, but we did get them to buy in, pay a little bit. But we've always been lower than what water provides.
On the medical side?
On everything.
On everything. Yes.
Are there established salary ranges for the individual job descriptions?
Yes. Yeah, it's, at this point in time, there are pay ranges for the new hires, once they're off probation, but then haven't yet passed any licensing is another set range. A grade 1 license is this dollar amount, a grade 2 license is this dollar amount, grade 3, and it goes up. And grade 3 at this point is our highest, because that's what the water treatment plant is, a grade 3 plant. And so that was the defining.
Okay. So in terms of where people are at on those ranges, are they close to topping out, or?
Well, and it's different, I guess. It's not a range as much as it's a set amount.
Correct.
It has been.
You could be here 5 years, 15 years, and you could make the same amount.
Yes.
Or 1 year and 15 years.
Okay.
Not likely, but it could be done.
has been done. Has been done. Caused some heartburn. So this will address some of those issues as well.
Okay.
The higher performing employees will, in the future, that will be duly noted and paid accordingly.
Are there also cost of living adjustments that are evenly distributed across staff?
Well, and that's where I think that baseline will come
Okay.
in. That'll be this lower number.
Okay.
And then we'll have this fund, it's not a fund, but we'll have a bag of, dollars that has to be allocated in between all of them from low to high. And that's a year down the road, but this would be the last year of what has been the status quo for the department and increases.
But basically what'll have to happen during the budget process is that you have to budget for worst case from a ratepayer standpoint, best case for the employees, and then there will more than likely be money left over. Because not everyone's gonna be theory.
Yeah.
Right.
Top performers.
Top, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the staff know right now what's expected to get certain numbers on this scale?
They have all gotten, when the reviews were done, they were all given a copy of the review and then a copy of the grading sheet as to what constitutes these scores.
So if I know going in, if I'm a staff member, what it takes to get the maximum pay raise next year?
Well,
Within-
that's not been clarified.
I
I
mean,
mean, if you get a 3.5 or if you get a 3.3, what is that difference? Is that, I mean, like, we don't have, that's not
Yeah,
figured
that
out, is it?
No.
Right. I mean, if you get a 3.0 or 3.5, I mean, I don't,
I guess
I don't know.
I guess my question, there'll be something at the beginning of this year that tells them if I want the maximum pay raise next year, I need to do this, this, and that. This is what I need to be working toward. I don't want it to be really subjective.
Right.
At the end, I want them to know
Right.
up front, what do I need to do if I want to meet this? That way, if they don't, there's no argument here.
But you don't know that a 3.5 equals this amount of dollars.
No, and I
We
won't
don't
until,
know that until the.
Well, I don't mean that. I just mean,
Organizational goals.
if I want to
Yeah.
be at the max raise next year, this is what I need to do as an employee.
and there is, with those reviews, there were comments that were attached to those reviews, areas that were below standard were addressed, and it was talked about what needs to happen to address those, bring them up.
But do they know what that standard is going into the year? I'm just throwing out attendance. Do they know I have to be here X percent of times? That's just an example.
No, I don't have, beyond that scoring sheet, I didn't lay it out in finite detail that way.
I guess just from an outsider looking in, if I'm an employee, I would like to know, starting this year, what exactly I need to do to be getting the maximum raise I can. And if I fall short of that, then it's on me. If it's really subjective at the end of the year, I think that's tough to defend.
So Joe, you'd asked if I had been involved in that process of using merit, and the answer is yes. Part of our extensive work was creating goals. And that's the
And I
hardest
think they
job for
really need to be
managers.
measurable, not just somebody saying yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're gonna base people's livelihood on it, it's gotta be pretty clear cut, yes, I met it, or I didn't. Not just somebody saying, I think you're close.
Yeah, as employees, every employee had their baseline level of work that you're expected, then you had goals, and then you had your stretch goals. And so those were increasingly difficult to achieve. That was the idea, right? we spent a lot of time on that. And first year, amazing how many people within other departments got their goals achieved, but the managers set really low goals, in my opinion. Some of the tougher directors, we didn't get those raises that everybody else did, so it was interesting, but it takes a lot of work.
The other thing I think would be a good idea as you think through this is, like a quarterly checkpoint with people.
Okay?
3 months into it, are we meeting it? 6 months into it, are we meeting it? Here's what you can do to meet it. I think those are good conversations to have with employees rather than just let them work for 12 months and go, nope. And that can be a 5-minute meeting.
And there are, I guess one of the other aspects that I liked in what the city had established was if the score was below a certain set point, one of the things to talk about was reassessing that in 90 days and sitting down with the employee to see where those gains
I
are.
think two things. If you do it every 3 months, it not only helps you to help them get their raise, but it helps you to get people out that need out. If you've assessed them more than once a year. You're good, you're still good, or you're bad, you're still bad.
So along the lines of, like this document that we've been working on, which is the 2080 agreement checklist, I mean, there's quarterly things that have to, because you mark what's been done, what
Yeah.
hasn't been done. It could be, talked about performance measures being the next step in this, right? We said we wanted to at least get this done, and then from there, assess, are we 100% compliant with this? Are we, is the treatment standard where it should be? 100% of the time, 90% of the time, 80% of the time?
I just think it's easier 30 days in, hey, you're not meeting this and here's why.
Yeah.
Let's get you going towards meeting this.
Mike, how often do you have your people evaluated?
This
Is it
sounds
quarterly?
terrible. It depends on the department.
Uh-huh.
Everyone is supposed to be reviewed annually.
Okay.
That is a minimum standard. And then the police department, they do, I believe they do quarterly. And that's because they also rotate shifts and have different supervisors, lieutenants, for example. So we want to get feedback as they move on to the next person. So we do it annually, is the short answer. I've seen plenty of arguments for quarterly, but it's that it should make it easier to meet. They should have to be hours long, obviously, because you just covered that. So it's just what Chad and the supervisors can handle.
This type of an organization, you already have your goals already set, you know what you need to get done for the year and what has to happen. So in fact, they'll know if they're moving right along or not, if you're dragging.
Well,
If Chad's got something going on, you say, well, we need to get that in, and we're not done with that.
and
Good
that's
indication.
a larger question. I mean,
Yeah.
does this organization have identified goals? And again, how is Chad being measured for what he's doing? So it should trickle down, I would assume. And also, we would hope you're asking your employees to provide some goals of their own. So again, we're not on a merit-based system. We do step increases. If you don't perform well, you don't get a raise. I mean, that's just how I've withheld the pay before on employees. But it's presumed you're going to get your step increase or get your merit or your COLA. We've been asking at least the directors or supervisors to work with the staff in identifying at least 3 goals to achieve in the next year. Admittedly, some of those goals are really weak, but at least it gives us an opportunity to talk about that with the employees and ask them for their input. So we're not full-blown merit on our side. And I know we're not because we're not ready to transition to that.
How many supervisors would be grading employees?
I've got one distribution, one office right now, and then we'll have to look at and that's on the water, on the wastewater side. We don't have a defined supervisor at this point in time. So that's something that we're working on and trying to figure out internally, and discussions on what we can do and best put things in place, but.
They would need to be trained on the grading scale of this is how you grade your employees. To to give them a proper rating as well.
I would assume that you would review all the evaluations
Yes.
before they give them, make sure we
Yep.
have some
Yep.
consistency in
Yep.
the way they're evaluated.
Yep.
I mean, I like the
Yeah,
idea
this-
of having more than just once a year, especially the first year that you're doing this. And I would assume that if you've got somebody's having some problems, that you'll bring it to their attention more frequently.
What do we need on this item? Do we need a motion?
I need a motion to approve any cost of living, whatever you want to do, so.
You were first asking for the cost of living approval,
3%.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, 3% at this time.
And I think CPI at this point is 0, just, I think that's what it ended up being.
And some of the BLS stuff that I was looking at had different, depends on what you looked at,
Yeah.
between the energy and food and everything else, so.
And it's my understanding the city has approved the 3%.
Yeah, we approved that, council approved that 3
years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it looks like, from the data that you have, neighboring utilities and cities are all floating around in the 3% range.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve a 3% cost of living increase.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a question. I don't know if this is the time for it, but I want to make sure that it's all employees at the water department, general manager, and all staff, because I don't want an issue like we've had in the past. Is it
It's across the board.
across the board?
Mhm.
Thank you.
I mean, that's my understanding.
I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to.
All right, Chad, number 9?
Last month meeting, we were talking about the online bill pay, and there was a question about data breach indemnification. And Crystal's worked really hard this last month with the insurance carrier and the moving parts in this between Tyler and the third party, I believe it's ETS, that would do the processing of the transactions to figure out who had coverage and were we covered. And while everybody says, well, yes, we're covered, and nobody can really point to anything specifically, we have gone to Jim Anderson, who has our property and casualty insurance, and he was able to find specific insurance coverage for data breach indemnification, should anything happen, up to $1 million,
Yeah.
I think. And it's gonna cost us $1,249 a year for that. Went through all that, just worked on some of the final details today, as everything was kind of tying together so that we can get the online bill payment operational.
Did he have a questionnaire for you to go through?
Yes?
Did you enjoy it?
It was fun.
It wasn't horrible, I've had worse.
Okay, 'cause I was taking a class on data breach type stuff last week, and some of the questionnaires I'm hearing about are like 12 pages long.
No, this one was like 2 pages long.
Okay.
It was 2 pages long, and wanted to know budgets and the number of transactions, possible transactions that we would have, and what policies were in place, so on and
Okay,
so
so
forth.
no requirement to upgrade firewalls,
Nope.
PCI, DSS compliance. Okay.
Would that be something you would expect from your training?
Well, what I was hearing, I actually took a couple of classes. One was done by a legal firm, and another one was done by an IT company. And the legal firm was talking about how their experience was that the insurance companies were requiring certain things to be in place before they would insure. And so you had to have certain controls in, then you get a policy. And in order to find that out, that was where the IT people were saying, yeah, we've seen these questionnaires, and they're lengthy and they're difficult.
We did have a lot of those questions on the Tyler application that I had went through when we first started setting it up, so.
Okay.
And Access worked with us on that.
Okay,
to make sure everything was where it needed to be.
okay. And that would be my concern, that it's one thing to what you pay for the insurance policy, but another thing what you do to be in compliance with the insurance policy. And then that creates a loophole for them to say, whoa, wait a minute, you didn't tell us about this weakness in your system, we're not insuring anything.
So, we've got that about done. I need to sit down with Ken and Haley here this week and work on getting the story out about getting the monthly billing for our customers, so that we've got that out there. And we have, the staff's done a good job of talking to customers as they come through and pay, to let them know that we are making that switch. Word is getting out, word of mouth. But we still need, I need the media's help to get that information out to our customer base, and we'll work on some pieces and stuff that we can be putting on Facebook with the city's website, with their abilities to just get notifications and stuff out. That's all I've got under general manager's update. Miscellaneous, we had one leak this last month. It was a shear break out on 3rd Avenue East, just east of South 11th. That's all we've had for leaks. I guess Carbonado, quick update on that stuff. They are, more than half of the pipe is in the ground. They filled the first section and pressure tested it, and they are sending it off for bacterial analysis. We've had a few hiccups trying to address stuff as they come across it. Highway 23 just received notification today that bacterial analysis has been passed on everything, and so the guys were going to go out and get all that put back online and eliminate the old sections and stuff. And one section that has been eliminated already, the ditch is dry. It's not swampy, so some of the pinhole leaks and stuff that we figured we have that we could never find were there and have dried up as a result of eliminating part of that stretch.
On that note, it looks like May consumption percent loss, or parent percent loss has dropped from last year. Do you contribute that to Highway 23 improvement, or?
I would like to think so. I know that one of the things too that we found, Carbonado Road, where it lies off to go down into the northeast treatment plant, there's a residence there that, as they were excavating through, dug through what would be the sewer service lateral, and it was running clean water in it. Tested it, and it was our water, and so we've had a leak that is being picked up right there. It's coming off. It's not necessarily on the main. It's on the service line, but it's being picked up by that sewer lateral and was running water.
So we're sending clean water to the.
Helping flush out the system.
Okay.
But as soon as we go through, that'll be eliminated, because it'll have a whole new service line that goes in there.
Okay.
So, yeah. And you know, if we can, based on the flow rate that we experienced with that, and if we can start eliminating those throughout town,
Yep.
that will drop the apparent loss considerably.
Well, that's been the whole reason for the infrastructure, or one of the main reasons for the infrastructure improvement, is
Right.
to try and find all the water that we're losing.
Right.
So
And
it sounds like we're having some
success.
Some success in
Yes.
that category.
Yes.
Anything else, Chad?
That's all I've got.
Back to Crystal's point, Chad is a contract with Perry, so I'd make sure you check the contract to see what it says about cost of living increases.
I just didn't want.
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
you're right to ask that question. I just wanted, if it says in there that you get the cost of living increase as the other employees, great.
Mhm.
I can't recall what you got in your contract.
That's what it says.
So-
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would vary from that.
No, I get what everybody else gets. So, save, the only exclusions would be as part of the 2080 agreement, when the licenses come across, then there are step increases as a result of those licenses would be on that. I get the same as the other employee.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're done.
I was gonna call this one more
Sure,
time, Joe.
sure.
Got done in your
That's right.
timeframe.
I was gonna make that motion whether you were done talking.